My name is Jim Paconin. I have a guest today, Angelito Felix, and we are here on Monday morning to get your week started with intention and with a bang. Now, today is a very special episode. In Empower Hour, oftentimes we're going to take a look at some of the cutting edge things that are happening in coaching, as well as some of our normal coaching conversations. But we want you, the listener, to be empowered on Monday and to literally take this week on with vigor, because it is going to be an incredible week. Now, one of the things that we do on Empower Hour is I pull a card. So this morning, this is the card that I pulled. And if you're listening to the recording, it says, I take inspired action towards success. So as you look for this week, what inspired action are you taking that will have you be and become more successful this week? Now, we have a few people joining us, so I'm looking forward to this conversation. The first one, I want you guys to say hi and to actually tell who you are. So Elizabeth, welcome to the Empower Hour. And maybe just give us, tell us a little bit about you.
Okay, so I am Elizabeth. I am a mindset and manifestation coach, and I am a Zoom cast junkie. I feel like I'm oh, what call can I get on? Even though I have all these other things to do, but I love just interacting with people and almost like masterminding. It's been so great since being able to do that. So
yes,
excited.
So welcome to the call. And today we're going to be talking. It's going to be part one of sacred medicines. So
Very cool.
That is our topic today. And I love what Elizabeth coaches on, because mindset is such an important thing to create being empowered every day.
For sure.
Yeah, and the other person we have here is Mr. Angelito Felix. Angelito, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, hello. I am the founder of Clients by Design and this group, and the host of Virtual Coffee Break that we have every Monday and Thursday. So hope to see you guys later on today and perhaps this Thursday as well. But what I do is I pick up where the coaching schools leave off. After you graduate from coaching school, I show you how to get the clients. So that's my specialty. And it's an amazing, fulfilling, and that's what I love to geek out on. So not a lot of people find what I do fun and interesting, but I do. I love it.
I love what you do. And matter of fact, I want to say a big thank you to Clients by Design, because they are one of the sponsors of the Empower Hour. So thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Now today's topic is sacred medicine and coaching. And I want to say I've been working with psilocybin or magic mushrooms for about 3 years now. And initially, in all honesty, I wasn't sure, because it's if you look at how society views magic mushrooms, right? It's those crazy hippies just out doing drugs and then doing all these crazy things. But what I have found is there is a huge difference between macro dosing and just taking it for pure pleasure, and actually micro dosing, and with a microdose, actually taking it to heal yourself, and especially from deep traumas. And I have a little bit of a unique definition of trauma, because for me and how I see trauma is that creates the experience of not being loved, and oftentimes also creates a significant emotional experience such that your life is altered for the not positive as a result of that trauma. And as we grow older, oftentimes those young traumas, because these traumas often happen between the ages of 18 months and 11 years. And it is our unresolved behaviors around these traumas that deeply tend to impact life as an adult. And one of the most magical, I'm going to say that, one of the most magical things that happens when you actually microdose, not macrodose. And a side note, a microdose is literally less than a gram. It's just enough to have you feel a level of impairment. And yet, if you're with the right person that's holding the space and guiding you through the ceremony, microdosing with psilocybin can quite literally assist you to let go of the traumas. About a week and a half ago now, I did another session. It was a second session with one of my clients who happens to be very, very Christian, and she had a lot of concern, and we talked about it. And actually, in our second session, she actually had her coach on with to assist. And the coach is like, "What's it like?" And what I said is, from a spiritual sense, microdosing literally, and I don't know how it does it, but this is my experience, it literally allows you to take the grip that you have on your thoughts around trauma. It actually allows you to lighten up and release them. And then you get this moment that you can quite literally just let that trauma go. And when that trauma goes and when it's gone, we can return to a created space of self-love. And that created space of self-love is so powerful because without the trauma, your life is impacted boldly. Now, if you're in the chat room, if you have any questions, type those questions in, or if, Elizabeth or Angelito, if you have any questions or comments, like, what do you hear in what I just said?
Well, I mean, you and I have had some conversations around this already, in terms of microdosing and macrodosing. And that was a pretty enlightening kind of aha for me, that because I always thought that, it took a macro dose to create some real transformation, some real change, to be able to go deep inside and make those changes. And, after talking to you and learning that you do not need to macrodose, you do not need to trip to be able to create those changes. That was pretty amazing for me. And I actually look forward to doing that. What about people who have already processed trauma, right? It's like, for me, I feel like I processed my trauma from childhood a long time ago. Maybe there's some stuff in there, but I haven't found. But what about people who are like, so for example, what you do with Second Life Design, what about helping people process a midlife crisis, right? Or maybe people who want to use it to like be more creative in business, with, how to move forward in their business.
So that's a great question. And here's and in a future episode, we're going to talk where Angelito and Jim met, which was in the jungles of Peru with ayahuasca. But here's one of the things that I have found is oftentimes, even if you've processed things, life comes at you in a new way and almost triggers you from a different way. And even I find that even though I've processed a lot of my traumas, sometimes things happen and I literally get re-triggered. And when I microdose, I can see those triggers, and it's like seeing it through a prism, and now you're seeing a different angle on it. And like, I still do it occasionally when I'm triggered for something. And I also have to say, that's a great idea about opening up creativity. And I'm actually, for those of you who know me, I got a brand new travel trailer and I'm getting it ready because I'm going out to the playa. And I'm also in process of Amazing Second Life Design, getting that going. I may actually do a ceremony this weekend around freeing up the constraints around creativity. Because, Angelito, you and I have talked about that because I have some these weird latent fears around that. And it might be time to take a spiritual look at the core of those fears.
Yeah. Yeah. And, the reason I ask is because, in this community of transformational coaches, not everyone wants to go, not everyone thinks about, psilocybin and magic mushrooms as a way because they want to process their trauma. I feel like at a more like surface level that people would, especially if you've never done it before, maybe you do it to see like how it can affect your creativity, because I know it absolutely does a lot for me. But my question, I have a question for Elizabeth. Have you ever done any of this stuff? Like, have you ever like used magic mushrooms in any
I
way?
have I have once. I did we had like a half of a candy, like a chocolate bar or something like that, and it made me really sick. Like I had really bad stomach cramps. I was really nauseous, not a good time. It was like nothing, and so like it's not that it's really funny. I'll try anything twice. Like I'm like with it's food or whatever, because like you may not like it the way it was prepared like the first time, right? In just a different form. So like I haven't been in the situation where I'm like, yeah, let's do it, because now we've done research like how to do it where you can avoid these things like lemon teching and all the other things, right? Like because I have a very like I have a very sensitive stomach where things make me nauseous, but I don't actually have the ability to get sick. Like it is very rare if I purge. Like so, and I think that a lot of it too is always like that control of letting go, right? Like I will do anything in my power not to actually vomit. Like we were watching a movie the other night, or was it a movie, or I don't know, we were watching, it was a show or something, and Mike was telling the girls how like I never ever throw up. Like I'm really sick if I actually throw up. But like yeah, so that's my only experience with mushrooms per se. And like I do want to try other psychedelics and everything like that, but there's the whole fear that I have around it, like the control and all that. So and getting sick, like because I hate it.
Oh, so I have to confess, the first few times I did it, I would just throw up violently.
Yeah.
And what I found is, number one, and I'm like moving forward, the bars because I've found a source of very consistent mushrooms. And moving forward, I'm going to be using dark chocolate, not sweet chocolate, because there's something about the sugar and the mushrooms with my stomach that makes me want to purge. The
Yeah.
other thing I discovered is I take orange juice, or I take something citrusy with it,
Yeah.
because that kind of masks something on the stomach that
Mm-hmm.
quite literally, and I mean, yeah, I have a whole ritual that I go through. Number one is one that, because I actually microdose half of what my clients microdose,
Mm-hmm.
so that we are spiritually in a space together. But part of my ritual is going and getting high pulp orange juice and making sure that a full cup, and if somebody has a sensitive stomach, they take 2 cups with
Mm.
the microdose. And that makes a complete difference. And I think that the dried mushroom, somehow it triggers your stomach, like the physical aspect of it triggers your stomach into, like this shouldn't be in here, and then we purge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, what,
Yeah.
and yeah, I've had, actually, I have that, not with microdosing, but in the past when I've taken the full macro dose, like I do have the, I go through the whole stomach turning, wanting to throw up. You don't know whether you want to go to the bathroom or not. Like it's your body's just contorting and just being really weird. And what I've kind of like tuned into when that happens is that's just my ego fighting. like
Mhm.
before it surrenders. You know, it's
Oh,
like it's my ego fighting like what's about to
oh,
happen, and then when it finally surrenders and finally lets the spirit of the mushroom take over and like guide me,
Yeah.
then I have the amazing like experience.
oh. See, oh, see, I have the first time I took it, I macrodosed, and those of you that don't know me, I'm an empath, and since 2004, I've really worked to understand my empathic gifts, and I'm kind of a death doula, which means if somebody is dying, and for those of you that know, I had cancer. And when I lived with cancer, or when I survived the surgery, I actually got a therapy dog, and we used to sit with people. So I used to sit with people that were on the verge of dying. And the first time I microdosed, it was such an unpleasant experience because literally I had all of these wayward spirits coming to me wanting to be processed. So, like these entities that had not gone to the light would quite literally just line up and I would process them one at a time. And
Just to
the
be
two,
clear, this doesn't happen to everyone.
this, no,
I was
no,
This
no,
is
no,
gonna
a
say,
this is,
like,
unique
yeah, no, no, yeah,
experience.
this does not happen to everybody. I am like I don't fit in this world, but I'm in this world for my karmic and my dharmic lessons. And the thing was, that night, the two people I was with, they got so freaked out by the whole experience that they literally left me for an hour and a half. And I just processed people up to the light. And then I happened to do it again with them because they're like, no, I'm like, it was not a pleasant experience. They're like, no, and they're like, let's try it one more time. And this time I actually like boundaries in coaching and in life. You have to have strong boundaries. So I really worked on my boundaries. And one of my friends is like we're into it about an hour, and I'm not enjoying microdosing. I'm just going to say that right up front. But and all of a sudden she went, it's like the same two people were there. They're like, hey, are the ghosts, are the entities back? And in that moment, they started lining up, and I just commanded them to stop and to leave me alone, that this is my experience. And in doing that, I was able to create a better experience. But the first time I microdosed, and I literally got to see my traumas from a different angle, I let them go. And I went through in 2020, I went through I had been in an emotionally abusive relationship that began to get physical, and it was just very deeply traumatic. And when things would happen, because it was like things weren't moving towards a finality, and there was just a lot of nasty things happening, I would do a little microdose, and I would just literally bring all of those fears up. And in the microdose, it was almost like I was looking at myself with the fears. And it was like the fears were a constricting sweater, or a constricting coat, and I was able to take all the fears off. And I learned to just let them go, and I emerged in such a beautiful space of peace and compassion that it really and it's funny how as a coach, I'm honestly, I'm really embarrassed to say that I was in an emotionally abusive relationship, because you would think I would know better, um and yet, like, now I understand. But the microdosing gave me such a level of peace. And the clients that I've worked with, like when they come for a session, the other thing, and I don't know if you guys have noticed, when you microdose, it continues to unfold for 3 to 5 days. So, like my last client, who it was her second time, she every day I would give her journaling prompts, and she would journal, and she got the most beautiful insights after, and the last one, the biggest one, came 3 days after. She got one of the biggest insights in her life, and now she feels so much closer. to her God, and she feels so whole inside. And to me, like, and my understanding is, she's had years of therapy and it hasn't helped. And the microdosing has, it's literally quickened her healing. And one of the things I really believe, in order to be empowered in life, you've got to free the demons that, and I don't mean that physically. I don't mean like, right, there's all these demons, but it's like we have dark thoughts. And as a coach, and I think Elizabeth would agree, especially as a mindset coach, as a coach, your ability to understand your darkness and literally learn not to feed it in a negative way and to do more feeding of the light. And I've, over the weekend, I had some real insight, because there's a yin and yang to life. And even our darkness, it has to be fed in a way that's healthy for the light. Because if we just deny our darkness and we say our darkness doesn't exist, it's going to get ravenously hungry. And when our light is dim, that darkness will literally grow and envelop you. Yet, if you understand your darkness, you can be with your darkness while you feed your light. And microdosing for me is one of the ways. It's like I'm sitting with the dark me. I'm allowing that part of my spirit to be fed in a controlled way so that it's not going to lash out at me. Does that make sense? Like you guys are here, and if you're
Sure.
listening, yeah.
Sure. It makes sense. I'm going to go ahead and represent some of the logical members of our community, right? So like when you speak the way you do, and you're speaking from a very spiritual sense, and there's people in the community who will totally understand that, and like, resonate with it. There are members who, like you mentioned, Elizabeth's a mindset coach. She's more tuned into the spiritual side as well. But there are members who are mindset coaches who are like, okay, I'm a mindset coach. What is that? Like, what place does this external source have to helping me with serving my clients, or solving my own problems? When I'm a mindset coach, that's what I'm trained to do. I know how to shift perspectives, create my own meanings, and what place does magic mushrooms have in what I do, and to be able to help clients, right? So like, what would you say to that?
I would say one of the things I understand, even coaches, we have our issues. And I've been working, I still get triggered. Like if a coach tells you that they're fully healed and they never get triggered, run. I mean, I am a spiritual being in a human experience. And this is one of the ways that I have found, and this is a way that's been used for thousands of years. There's a Netflix special that goes a little bit into the history of it. And one of the things about mindset, and it's going to be interesting to hear Elizabeth's take on this. I'm gonna like ask her what she thinks in a minute. One of the things about mindset is oftentimes we have the traumatic events that have happened to us growing up, that it's like they're lurking in the shadows. And in my experience, the deeper you understand your darkness, the easier it's going to be for you to live in your light. And Elizabeth, like, what is your thoughts about that?
Yeah, so before I did my mindset training and, got really into that, I had developed my spiritual gifts, and, we did a lot of shadow work. Like it was a thing. But now it's like with my clients, I take them through shadow work, but we don't call it shadow work, but it's basically becoming aware of where you're currently in, all these things that you have, these limiting beliefs, these traumas you've been through. So you need to have that awareness of everything that you have that is shaping your current beliefs in order to release them and change them into something that's more empowering, something that's going to serve you for your highest good, to become your higher self, right? So it's so important to do that shadow work that people are afraid of that word, but it's what it is, when you are looking back at everything you've been through and where you currently are, because you can't go forward unless you know where you currently are, right? Like, so you have to build that baseline, that awareness, and then move up. And, and when you release something, you have to replace it. So, even like with, doing these psychedelics or ayahuasca, like people say they have ego death. Well, you're going to build a new one. When you release something, it has to be replaced with something else. So we want to choose what we replace it with, right? We want to choose these empowering beliefs, these beliefs that, are going to serve us for our highest good. So that's kind of how I, look at that in the mindset, like, per se.
I love all that. Like
isn't she an incredible coach?
Yeah, like I love it, and I vibe with the words that you guys choose. For me, like, again, I've done it all. I've experimented with a lot of things for expansion, right? Like for me, I feel like my mission with sacred medicine is to bring it out to the world and to people who do not use words like shadow work and darkness and lightness. And like I want to start talking about this as if we're talking about aspirin, as if we were talking about like something that people can really relate to. And so when I asked about like mindset coaches who work more with the logical side of their brain, how to explain this work so that they get it.
Programming, paradigms, limiting beliefs, those would be like different words that make more sense to them maybe than shadow work, right? Like, these are things that all have been programmed in us over time.
Yeah. And let me go at a completely different angle. So if you're hearing this and you're at point A in your spiritual development, or even in your mindset, and you need to get to point B, we all know from our GPSs, if we put our destination in, my GPS gives us these different paths, right? And some of these paths will get there fast. Some of these paths it's 4 minutes slower to go this way. And one of the things I know is that as you begin to look at the foundation of that which has created the who of who you are as a spiritual being in this human experience, the deeper you understand yourself, the path becomes clearer. And just like a GPS, there is a number of sacred medicines that are out there that they work for you. And I mean, interesting side note, do y'all know that tobacco is considered a sacred medicine?
I had no idea.
I studied with a Cherokee spiritual leader. And when I was studying with the Cherokee spiritual leader, we would do a lot of sweat lodges, and he actually had a peace pipe, and we would literally create an intention. I would wrap all these different, this special cloth with tobacco in it. And then he would also load the peace pipe. And one of the things that he told me, and this is literally etched in my mind, he says, when you smoke the peace pipe, you bring it into your mouth and you actually create an intention, and then you actually release the intention, because he said that when you bring the sacred tobacco in, if it goes beyond your mouth into your lungs, it's death. You actually take it, you create an intention, and you release it to the universe. And to me, I often got the most mystical experience doing the peace pipes and then doing like the sweat lodges. Um, it's just, there are many, I didn't even think before the show about tobacco as a medicine, but the Native Americans used it as medicine. They did not use it to smoke. The smoking is very much it's a non-indigenous people's experience. So like even that is a way. And I had breakfast yesterday morning with a friend. She just went to a retreat where the sacred medicine that she was using was cacao, was this cacao prepared a certain way. And she said that the healing, and it was a 10-day retreat. So the healing that happened through all these cacao ceremonies. And for those of you who don't know, cacao is just, it's the base of chocolate. And we all know that when you're in a really down and dark place, there is nothing like dark chocolate as something. And now people are actually taking that. And I may like that'd be an idea to actually bring her on as a guest to talk about the healing powers of cacao.
Yeah, I
But
wanted to do one of those last week and I couldn't get to it because I've never done it before, but I hear it's just opening your heart.
yeah, and there is something, it's beautiful you said that, right? Because it sounds so simple. Well, it's Monday. I'm going to open my heart.
Yeah, right? No big deal.
But no big deal, right? But remember, if your heart is closed, something happened to you as a very young person. And as a result of that something happening, quite literally, it's like your heart is closed and you're holding it closed. And it's not like you're going to walk up to the heart and say, okay, heart, open time.
Right.
It's going to say, something happened a long time ago. And then I have all this evidence from then to now why it's safe to keep my heart closed. But yet, when we use sacred medicines, it's amazing what opens up.
So I think, listening to you guys talk, I really do, just this is the second talk. I just realized my role as a contributor to your talk. My role is to really represent the people who are like, how is this going to help me grow my business? How is this going to help me become a better partner? How is this going to help me love myself more? Like specifically, right? Like I want to get into the specifics, like of like how, what is this going to do to help? Let's start with what is this going to do to help me grow my business? Because this is what the community is about, right? Like a bunch of coaches growing their business.
Great question. And here is a very direct answer. The clearer you are with yourself and your past, it is going to bring you to a space of nothing, of no thing. From a space of nothing, you can create your business in such a way that you are just a natural attractor. And this is not law of attraction, this is law of action. You are doing the things to clear your spiritual path so that, like a magnet, your ideal clients are drawn to you. And once they arrive, you can actually do your best work with them. And then when that happens, they are going to tell people, and word of mouth is the best advertising other than what Clients by Design does in their program. So it's a way for you to be clear about becoming, like in this instance, an empowered coach. Because those people out there, it's like, I can coach anybody. If you are the space for anybody, most likely you will get nobody, because you have to understand your client. And you literally, right? We've talked about this in Virtual Coffee Break. And if you've never attended a Virtual Coffee Break, start attending and start participating. Because in the marketing world today, with 8 billion people, you should be, well, It is time for you to be, I'm not going to use a weak word. It is time for you to be laser focused on what you seek as your ideal clients. Because I have a client right now that is literally an ideal client that is near and dear to Elizabeth's heart. And we literally every week is simple magic. Does the homework. He's he, it's amazing. And you want to know something? When I'm working with my ideal clients, let me tell you, it's just fun fun. Angelito, did that answer your question?
Yeah, close.
I have something to
Yes.
add.
Okay.
Like, and I have, like I said, I have not done many psychedelics, and I wanted, like I said, I wanted to do the cacao ceremony because I also have read that it opens, these things open your creativity and they open your intuition. And, you know, for me, that's important because I feel like then I will be able to like get the ball, like just be able to create more things that I am maybe divinely supposed to be creating to help more people, right? So that for me is why I've been having an interest in it so much lately, to help expand my intuition and my creativity and just be open more to receiving information that I need to get out to help people. Does that make
Got
sense?
it. Yes, yes, absolutely. Yeah, Jim, like when you talk about sacred medicine from the space where you're in, it's like it's really inspiring, right? Like and like it's, again, like I've experienced different levels of it in my own life, and maybe, and you know me, I'm always prying for like answers that like I want to hear, right? So like, and I'm always tying it to marketing because that is my superpower, right? So like, I guess I can share like my own experience with the sacred medicine in the context of
Please.
microdosing mushrooms, in the way it's helped me in my business as a coach, right? So like what it does for me is it quiets the negative talk and allows for me to connect to the real voice inside, to be able to listen to my true self, right? Like, so that I can make decisions from a space of like confidence and like sure, like certainty, because all of the negative voices quiet down. And I learned to identify inside through a microdose how, like, what those voices are, and that if those voices are me or not, right? Because sometimes, like in the regular world, without the microdose, it's so the noise can be so like much and intense inside, all the different voices going on, that you don't really know like what truth is, like what the real you is, because you're being tugged and pulled and marketed to left and right, and the conditioning that you grew up with as a child, all of that is playing a factor. But with microdosing, is it separates all of the noise, and you're able to connect with your true voice, and it's your true voice. And that's for me where I found the most helpful in my business, because then I'm able to make quick decisions in my business, where I'm not second guessing myself, where I'm not doubting myself or my abilities. I know it's for sure. That is the beauty of microdosing for me. And touching on the creativity, man, like, not only has it helped with creativity, like in a way where, like sometimes where we get stuck with generating content, which is the topic for tonight's virtual coffee break, but we get stuck with generating content, or we get stuck with like a direction to take in our marketing, or like we get stuck on like the things to add to our programs or to take away from our programs. Microdosing for me, when treated in a ceremonious way, really makes the path clear. Like you're able to see like whatever you want to see, and whatever you focus your attention on much more clearly. And like Jim says, like when you are connected to your light, and when you're connected to that source inside of you, and that you're more confident, like what you see is like the reality that you create. So that's the experience for me, why I love microdosing. Well, I love macro dosing as well. Depends on the situation and how it's used ceremoniously. Ceremoniously or ceremonially, whatever.
Probably ceremony. Either way.
Cool,
Hey, it
cool.
sounds
So
good. Either way. Yeah.
So that's kind of like where I was getting, because I know that there are people watching this who are like, why do I need this? Like, why would I need this? Why can't I just like use my mind?
Yeah. And here's the thing about using your mind. If your mind is clear, you can use it with so much more ease. If your mind is clouded because of the barrage of thinking that to you has become, I'm going to air quote, normal, because of the traumas and the dramas that occurred as a child, and you haven't processed them to where it's like, oh yeah, right now the sky is blue. Jim was abused as a child, and we're doing a talk show. Like, none of those have energy anymore because I've done the work to literally find peace. I'm going to sneeze. To literally find peace. I know, right? There was, no Mac, right? No mistakes, no accidents, no coincidences. But I have peace in my life.
Mm. Yeah. I as you were talking, I got two visuals that I can use to describe the experience. It's like the first one is, akin to a snow globe shaken up, and each and every one of those specks inside, and the snow globe represents your brain and what's going on inside of you. And each and every one of those specks is a thought that you have. So that's how many thoughts that we're having constantly, like keeping everything so cloudy. What a microdose does is it allows all the confetti to settle, and it only highlights the pieces that are helpful in helping you solve the problem or situation that you want to get out of, or solve the problem that you want to solve. That's, for me, is like the most precise way of describing a microdose, or using sacred medicine. When you focus an intention on the ceremony, on what you want from the experience, that's what it does. Is it stops the snow globe from shaking, and it allows you to pinpoint the thoughts that are the ones that serve you in that moment, or to help you solve the problem. And then I forgot the other visual just now. I had two, but whatever. I think that's good enough.
Brilliant. Elizabeth, what thoughts
Yeah.
do you have
About what? About microdosing?
about anything?
I don't know. Like, I think for me, it's a journey of letting go of control, right? Like, and trying new things. And but I think it's beautiful that these things, these tools that are been around for, forever and ever and ever, are coming to light, and the stigma is getting removed from so many things, right? Like light work and all the things. Even for me, like, to come out to people that I was psychic and had these abilities was very scary for me. Like, and I finally did it, and it was just like, you can judge me if you want, but I know that this is, it's not my main purpose right now, but it helps me in my coaching every day, that I am welcoming these gifts, and everything, and utilize them, right? Like, I have these gifts, why not use it to help other people? So now I don't necessarily sit down and do readings as much as I did when I first started. I'm still channeling when I'm with my clients, right? Like, and using my intuition. So I just think it's just such a interesting topic, and I think that's why I have done, because there's always this part of me that's going. I know if I'm one of those, like, I'm gonna take the slower route around.
The scenic route.
Right, because it's just how I operate with certain things. And certain things I'm like, I want to get there as fast as possible. But that's also my ego, I think, the fear behind it all, right? Like, I need to know the information and have the control, but it's so, like, I want to have that experience too, because I've heard so many beautiful stories. about from other people that have experienced it. So yeah, that's my thoughts. It was a
So,
long
so,
answer, but
so I have a question. So Elizabeth, as you reflect with using your psychic gifts and your intuition, what does your channels say about microdosing specifically or sacred medicine in general?
Great question.
so I've gotten the, I guess, hits or, people have told me it's not so much microdosing as what, there's other plant medicines that I feel like would be more beneficial for me to explore, to open my intuition. And I think that's something that I'm going to look into because, like, there's certain people that really, ayahuasca changed their lives. I am still not on board with that yet. And I know that's a medicine that you feel called to, like when it's meant for you, like you know what I mean? Like it called you and like, that's
Ooh.
not me. I'm like, yeah, I'm good right now. Like, but there's other, like I said, there's other medicines and microdosing has never been on my radar, but just the way that hearing Angelito talk about it, it might be because if I want to create something and I
Well,
can't
it's
get
definitely the scenic route.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
yeah, the chatter, but yeah, I don't know. But for me, like there's other ones like, and I don't even know what they're called that I haven't done much research still, but there's still that fear part of like getting like in the control. Like I don't want to get sick. Like why is that enjoyable? But then
Oh
if
man.
it opens up my channels even more, my creativity even more, my ability to help more people, then it would be worth it, right? So
That's it. Like when you said, open up my channels, open up my creativity, open up my intuition, that was the second visual. And for those of you who've studied Bob Proctor, when he's described the difference between the subconscious and the conscious mind, like it is what it is like, imagine yourself as with an antenna on top of your head, and it's tuned in to a specific frequency at all times, right? Like it's only able to like tune in to a certain range of frequencies that allow you to process information. What microdosing does and what sacred medicine does is it opens up that antenna so that you're able to process a wider range of that frequency. So like if you open up your channels, you can receive more and like have a better communication without the noise, inside of the snow globe. If your intention is to open up your creativity, it opens up your creativity frequencies, help you get more leads, whatever it is, as basic as it is, as like logical, it just opens it up so that you can process more without the self-doubt, without the second guessing yourself, and all of the stuff that Jim talks about with the darkness and stuff, like without any of that icky.
So what is the functionality like when you are, say you're microdosing, like explain to me, I guess, like what a day looks like. Like, is it something that you can function on, like, or is it something where you're like, I won't see you for 12 hours?
Yeah.
Like
no, that's a good distinction, Jim.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
So let me tell you how my ceremonies go.
Yeah.
Is that normally 2 to 3 days ahead of time with my clients, they actually are doing journals about what is their intention for that ceremony. And then the day of the ceremony, they just eat very lightly, and then they eat nothing after like noon, because normally my ceremonies start at 3 to 4 to 5. Unless like somebody's driving up from the Bay Area, which has been happening, and then they start about 6 to 7. And then we'll sit down, we will openly discuss any fears they have, any concerns they have. I will have the orange juice there, and I have I have an antique tray from the 1960s that literally has all these old painted. I'm a nut, but I found this old antique tray, and on it has mushrooms, and on the other side it has a place that was a cutting block for cheese. But that is where the chocolates sit on that side. And then when the time is right, they'll drink the orange juice, then they'll take the chocolate. I'll take the chocolate, the microdose. And then oftentimes we sit in silence. And then for me, literally 20 minutes in and I'm feeling it. For most other people, it's about 40, 45 minutes. At 1 hour, if they're not feeling it at a level, they'll take another square or they'll take half a square. And then the moment they are like I'm just going to use the word impaired, then we start talking about their issue. And I had one client, I had one, I've, this is, I have one client that she does not understand how powerful she is as a spiritual being in a human experience. When we do sessions together, I think we've done 3 or 4 plus, and they're usually about 6 months to a year out. She can literally go in, like she can go into the medicine and she can begin her work, and her work is just talking about what the intention is. She did a lot of talking about her trauma. And then all of a sudden she just pop up and she says, oh, she says, okay, she says, that one's done. That was interesting. And then she goes back in. And then when we're done, and I love doing work with her because all of a sudden she'll be like, okay, I'm done for tonight. At which point we bring out the crackers, the apples, the cheese, the honey, and we have a meal because the moment you eat food, literally the effects of the psilocybin, like very quickly they go away. And then like they have homework, and like all of my clients within 2, 3, 4, 5 days, they just keep saying the insights they're getting. And they're just back in their regular life. They're back doing the things they do, but it's
So it's more of like an
usually,
after effect, like
yeah,
getting
yeah.
What is
You're just getting all these downloads and this understanding. Most people for 3 to 4 days after, even though they're all back to normal, it's still opening up insights and they're still releasing things. But the ceremony itself seldom goes over 4 hours, especially with a microdose. Because for me, about 2 hours into it, I'll peak. Like I can literally feel it in my breath, like in my lungs is almost I don't, this is going to sound odd, but for me, it's like I smell the mushrooms in my system. And then, and when I'm working with somebody, it's not my experience, it's their experience. So I literally, my spiritual stuff is sitting in the back and I'm talking to them about theirs and asking guided, like the questions will just come to me. What about this? What about this? And then when because when you peak, because all of a sudden you'll start kind of the effects will start minimizing. And as the effects minimize, then that's when they're like, okay, I think I'm done. Everything is like things are quiet now, so I believe I'm done. And it's like, okay, that makes sense.
so we
So
have
it's really just it's a 4 hours. Yeah.
we have about four
Go ahead,
minutes
Angelito.
left to the top of the hour, but maybe Jim, you can
Oh, holy cow.
before we leave off, like if you can explain real quick what impairment means, right? Like more specifically, like to someone who has never felt it, like what, because we haven't said that like microdosing, you're not psychedelic, like it's not like a psychedelic
Yeah.
experience. You're not
You're not
tripping.
seeing visuals. You're not you're not tripping.
But what
And
are the sensations of impairment?
you literally, and it's quite interesting because there are different strains of mushroom. I actually have a strain of a mushroom that gives you a complete body high. Like you literally, your body feels like you feel high, but the mind is clear. And there are other strains where you just like, it's almost like you're under the effect of something and you're impaired just enough to understand that it literally mentally there's a sense of freedom. There's a
Got it.
sense where those constricting thoughts are not there anymore. The gentleman who introduced me to it's called an albino strain, and the albino strain, it was like my mind was completely clear, but my body, my body felt light. It felt like there was
Oh,
no
great.
weight. Where I have some physical pain from just living a full life. It's kind of cool. Like my lower back, the pain just disappears. Like I just feel it's like this humanly body is in this state of just peace. So,
Great.
and
Thank
yeah,
you.
and when I take the other ones, it's like colors. If you take it during the day, colors get incredibly vivid. You may feel like curling up and just closing your eyes, and then it's like you can see your mind.
Got it.
I used to love sitting under aspens and just staring at these yellow aspens, and I would swear that the aspens were actually like a little natural orchestra, and the vibration of the aspen was quite amazing.
Cool.
So,
Awesome. So what's the topic
and
next week?
I'm not sure yet. I'm going to get to that,
Oh, okay, good.
before we go, Elizabeth, if you can you tell us how to contact you? Angelito, tell us how to contact you, because if you're listening to this and these two inspired you or these three inspired you, feel free to reach out to them for coaching or for guidance. So we'll start with Elizabeth, Angelito, and then I'll wrap it up.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm on Facebook and Instagram, Elizabeth Planson, or my website is coachelizabethann.com. But thank you for this. This was fun.
Yes. Angelito, tell us, how can people really energize their marketing through Clients by Design?
Well, first and foremost, you attend a virtual coffee break if you want to get through some of your challenges that you're experiencing right now as a coach, building your business, your online coaching business. And the fast track way is to take advantage of the free marketing audit that we offer to all of our members, where we take a look at what it is that you're doing in your marketing efforts and how you're building your online coaching business. And we find the holes, and then we fill them. We find all the holes that we can plug, and we set you in a direction, a path that you can follow to your own success. Is it a sales call? Absolutely not. It is a call specifically designed to get you the clarity that you need for your business to move forward. If at any time in the conversation we decide, hey, maybe we can work together, or you want more help in executing those steps, cool, we'll have that conversation too. But that's not the purpose of the call. You get your marketing audit and you do what you want with it after the call. But yeah, and the way to do that is, again, attend virtual coffee break just to get a feel for the community, feel for the knowledge, and allow me to demonstrate my superpowers. And if you want the fast track, you can go to solohouse.co/call to go ahead and schedule yourself into the call calendar. But that's pretty much it. I've enjoyed this talk, Jim. Thank you.
We're
And Elizabeth,
wrapping it up today. And if anybody wants to get a hold of me, email me at jim@amazinglifedesign.com. Thank you for attending the Empower Hour. We will be here next Monday. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
cool. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Cool. So that's done. Yeah, I forgot to tell you, I have to hop on
Yeah, no,
an enrollment call.
So hop on that.
Yeah.
Can you just send me the MP3 or send me the recording or send me whatever, and I'll
Yes,
get that.
as once it's done.
But
yeah,
yeah,
can you send me
and
like just a
I'll send
reminder
you a
on
reminder. Yep.
WhatsApp? Yeah, cool.
Yep,
Because I have to
yep,
go back
yep.
to the show.
Okay.
Cool. I'll talk to you.
Okay,
Bye, Jim.
go. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.